Nigel Farage is going to sue Kemi Badenoch, or at least he's threatening to. This is the inside story because I've spoken to loads and loads of people today from the Farage team to understand exactly what's going on. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thank you so much for watching this. Please do subscribe, but more importantly, hit the bell notification icon. It's the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all my videos as soon as they are released. Okay. What has taken place? It's all to do with a ticker and the Nation Builder software. First of all, on Boxing Day, Nigel Farage started briefing out that Reform UK had got more members than the Conservative Party. That is 131,680 or 620. Who cares? Doesn't matter whether I've memorised it correctly or not. Now, Kemi Badenoch claimed immediately, and I don't want to be unfair, but it was, sort of 5 o'clock on Boxing Day that she started making these claims, that it was an automated ticker thing. Now, websites and indeed train stations and all sorts of places have these automated tickers. If you see the UK debt clock going up, if you see, I don't know, the world's climate increasing, all of these things are just basically a sensible estimate. So what they might do is they might say, this is how much the UK debt went up in 1 month. Let's divide it by the number of minutes in a month, and it'll click up automatically after that. Nothing wrong with that. And that's what Kemi thought Nigel Farage had done, what she thought he'd done. And she said the reason is because all of these numbers went up massively overnight. Well, let's make a couple of points. Point number one, I think, is the most important one. The key issue here is that Reform UK have got momentum at the time when the Conservative Party's on a low ebb. That's the important point. Important point number two, does it matter precisely the number of Reform members that exist simply because they're going that fast? They're bypassing the Conservatives. Anyway, point number four, I would suggest to you, is this. Everybody knows that the Conservative membership figures are not fake, but dodgy. And I'll explain why they're dodgy, because they include things like members of Conservative clubs. Now, I think most of you who've been to Conservative clubs in the north of England or whatever will find that whilst they all say officially to be a member they're Conservative voters, they're not really Conservative voters, or at least I've long suspected that many of them aren't. Let's put it that way. So I don't understand why Kemi made this point in the first place, but the critical point is this. There is a piece of software called Nation Builder. And Nation Builder is what lots of political campaigns use. It enables you to connect things together like your social media with your membership and manage all of this together. I used it very, very briefly, but it was far too sophisticated for the little campaigns that I was running. Therefore, I stopped using it. Now, I told you about the UK debt ticker. I told you about the tickers that they use for climate change and all of the rest of them. That is not what Nigel Farage has on his website, and that wasn't what he was using. He had connected directly his ticker with Nation Builder. That meant that when those numbers are ticking up on the Reform UK website, they're actually genuine. They change every time there's a new person who joins. Now, the next point to make, which I think is really important, is the fact that Kemi said that she couldn't understand why so many people had joined overnight at Christmas. So it did seem a bit weird, didn't it? However, analysis by Sky News of the Nation Builder app, when they'd looked at it, said for certain that people had joined in the morning of Boxing Day. Now, whether that was people had been given membership of the political party for Christmas, right, which is perfectly possible, where you have to say activate your membership. I've never joined Reform, so I don't know how. Similarly, there will be people who will literally just give you the present of joining and then discreetly actually join after you're happy with the thing. Now, okay, it might not be your bag to have membership of a political party for Christmas, but there will be a lot of people who get them, specifically people like sixth formers who study politics. It's not unusual for their parents to give them that as a present, and so it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of that processed on Boxing Day. Now, obviously, as Kemi says, oh, well, it was overnight. It wasn't actually. The analysis was that it was the big spike came at around 11 a.m. on Boxing Day, which sounds like real humans, but in any case, it's real members anyway. I think Kemi is in real trouble here, and I'll tell you why. And this has come from one of Nigel Farage's legal team, and also Andrew Eborn, who's a contributor on my Talk TV show. he made the same point. When you are saying that you are lying about these figures, it is effectively, it's accusing you of fraud. It's accusing you of lying and benefiting from that lie. And the fact that benefit is political apparently doesn't matter. And therefore, it's defamation. And therefore, what would happen is if Nigel Farage, first of all, can prove that Kemi's wrong, which we think he definitely can, and he can prove that it appears to have diminished his reputation in the eyes of a reasonable person, and that is to say, would a reasonable person trust Nigel Farage more or less if they believed he was a fraudster? I would suggest the answer is less. Then it is defamatory and he can sue her. Now, whether he'll want to go through the hassle and the £1 million expense of suing her, I don't know. But it has to be said, it might be a very good thing to do. And I think she could be on a seriously sticky wicket. Because if she loses a court case in which the central allegation was, did she lie and defame a rival politician? If she loses, I would suggest that she may have to resign as Conservative leader. And so this could be the end of her. Now, the person deciding whether to, assuming I'm right on all this, and it did come from Reform UK, but assuming I'm right, imagine being in a position where she is in real trouble. She has lied about Nigel Farage. He can now prove it, and he can prove it's defamatory, and he sues her. And then he knows that if he sues her successfully, she will lose the Conservative leadership. Would he save her? Okay, it'll take 18 months and £1 million to do it, but fundamentally, it might be something that Nigel Farage sits back and says, this is worth the bother, because we can stick it to Starmer and Labour, but the more we discredit the Conservative Party now, the more of these people come over. But of course, there is another final important point to make, right? Why on earth is she doing it? It is entirely stupid. And I'll tell you why it's entirely stupid. Because what now is going to have happened, I guarantee you, is that over the past 24 hours, shed loads of new people will have joined Reform in order to make it true. Sorry, not to make it true, to ensure it's definitely true that they've got more members than the Conservatives. When you turn around to somebody and say, I've got more members than you, then, of course, the end result of it is going to be that they start, that their supporters are galvanised into action. Although what would have been funny, and I don't know if I'll be able to do it, it would be great if there were more members of this channel, subscribers of this channel, than there were members of the Conservative Party. I would love to have stood it up and said that to Kemi Badenoch. Unfortunately, we're only on about 110,000, and I don't think we're going to get to 131 in the next day or two. Anyway, that's the thing, and I think Kemi could be in real trouble, and I think potentially she could lose the Conservative leadership over it. We will see what Nigel Farage does, but make absolutely no mistake, they are going mad at Reform UK. And the reason they're going mad is because they feel that Nigel Farage is, quote-unquote, the only honest politician in Britain, or one of the few honest politicians in Britain. People might disagree with that, but that's the way they think of themselves. And to be defamed and to be called a liar in this way, I think that they're not very happy about. And I would suggest to you that it's going to go badly for Femi as a Femi. It's going to go badly for Kemi. Femi was that nutter, remember that pro-European who was about 105 and he pretended to be like a teenager. Anyway, until next time, goodbye.